Alright. So another section in my book called Willpower and Patience, I wrote, the more you conquer, the more you can tolerate. You cannot falsify the endurance that you acquire from the trenches. It's a result of actually going through it. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to survive an abusive relationship, be a rape victim, or go to war overseas. Although these are external afflictions, the internal ones are evident in all of it. War is mostly mental, and it takes on many forms. And we face many of these wars, And I go on to say the cliche is you never know what somebody is going through. Alright, so welcome back. I just want to speak on willpower and patience, a couple of things that I have been known to struggle with, even though I found some pretty solid solutions. Also, I have two very strong contrasting aspects about me, two strong contrasting driving forces, and that's one to be massively productive, and the other one is to be very much stimulated. It's very tough because I'm trying to find a way to make them agree. They don't always do. I can do a lot of work, and then do a lot of rest. But I just started now getting comfortable with being okay with resting, because I feel like one of the driving forces that I allow to take charge is kind of a militant boot camp type thing. But not even that, because and I wanted to say tough love, but not even tough love, man. Just tough. Just hard on myself. Oh, damn near bullying. Just not allowing myself to be just happy about anything. Not allowing myself to be joyful about anything. But it's like, why am I robbing myself of that if this moment is all that's guaranteed for me? What would it be all worth if I die 30 minutes from now and I didn't enjoy any of the process? Now, granted, I think I do enjoy the process, but it's like, will I ever be satisfied if I just keep prolonging the joy? And so my logical mind will kind of direct my attention to, well, how about you do joyful things? But then there's also this part of me that's like, why don't you find joy in the things that you do? This is what you decided on. This is your choice. Like, what do you want to do? Like, if you can't find joy in this and you don't want to try, you might want to do something else. But I claim that I want to do the things that I do. Maybe it's laziness. Maybe it's still I haven't quite recovered from trauma. But anyway, this video isn't necessarily on that. It just came to mind. But willpower and patience. Now, for most of us, I would even say all of us, we start off with a lot more willpower than we'll end the day with. Okay? So it's definitely good to build up a lot of momentum as the day goes on. And as I've said it before, you want to start your day off with some of the harder tasks. Your day gets progressively easy. If you really trust yourself, you can do the easy things first and then do the hard things as the day progresses. But I found in my experience that I will put off the harder things as if I try to save it for the end of the day. I'll just keep putting it off until I finally do it. So I'll just put it off to the next day. That's not the way to go. That's definitely not the way to go. And you don't want to make yourself just look busy, just so you can just check a bunch of things off the list. That's not the desired route, man. That's not what you want to do. It's not what I want to do. So you definitely want to build up, like I said, you want to build up some momentum. So as you start to see progress from, knocking things off your list, you you kind of form a type of, I don't want to say an addiction, but you got some motivation going. So let's just go with that. Now, people may argue motivation is bullshit, and I understand that, because really, you shouldn't go waiting for motivation. You should find motivation once you get started. And I think you're more likely to do that anyway. It's just a lot of us don't know that, because we drag our feet and we make things so big in our mind that just ruins our willpower right there. We spend a lot of willpower just fighting ourselves internally, going back and forth as to if we should even uh, do this particular thing or not. But if you make it a must, if you know that you must do it, you do less complaining, less thinking about it. You do it. The process is over. Okay? So, if you wanted to write a book and your word count is 500 a day, for example, which it adds up. It adds up. Some fast math. If you did 500 a day, as 15,000 over the course of a month. If you're looking for a 40,000 word novel, you do that in 3 months, and that's 500 words a day. And 500 words a day, you can get it pretty clean too. You can edit as you go, so that's a bonus. So there's ways around everything. So, and I'm actually glad I brought that up, because when we talk about willpower, we overwhelm ourselves by looking at the mountain, not understanding that the mountain is, to get to the top of the mountain, it'll take a series of steps, quite literally. Swinging your axe, what's it called, an ice axe or something like that. Just step by step, which also allows you to be patient. If you can fully trust in yourself, you can fully trust in the process. See, a lot of people may not buy into the concept of trusting the process. So that's why I say you have to become the process. So if you become the process and you also learn to trust yourself, then you trust the process. Okay? So you got to be able to trust yourself. All right? Which is very interesting, because I have a friend. So I was gonna say like an ex-alcoholic, ex-drug addict around alcohol, and so that's a pretty good test of strength. It takes a lot of trust to work around alcohol. You're a bartender, and it gets stressful. You smell the drinks. Everybody's having a good time. There's a lot of pressure. And you were an addict at one point. Some will always identify as one. It's a great test, which I don't recommend for everybody, but it's a great test. So you learn to trust yourself by going after the big dogs, lining up to fight. You put it down and you go look for the next victim. And there will be some times where you may feel overwhelmed, you may feel lost. So then you go to your journal and then you write down everything that you've been working on. And you don't finish, but you continue to map out your future. You take inventory, as far as what you have to be grateful for, what you got going for you, what's next. Really check your progressions and be open and honest. Don't convince yourself that you really put in a bunch of work when you didn't. Okay, you got to be honest with yourself, and this is going to take you a long way. But anyway, because I didn't quite speak on it, but you have to simplify things, is the point I was getting at earlier. So simplify certain things, and then you will start to realize that certain things really are simple, and we just outthink ourselves. See, this is why I like to play chess. because a lot of who we are is revealed on the chessboard. So obviously when you have a good move going, you just want to check to see if there's a better move, and then you go with that one. But it's pretty easy for you to really second guess yourself, which is a big difference. Okay, where it just seems like no matter what choice you make, it's a bad one. But you have to release from the outcome, so to speak. Now, you don't want to put yourself in trouble with the decisions that you make, but you just gotta make calculated ones and not try to outthink yourself. Don't beat yourself, in an attempt to conquer the world, so to speak. You obviously you want to make a very well calculated decision, but you go with that. All right, and then you get the feedback, and then you modify your game plan from there in an attempt to optimize. Okay, to optimize your strategy. But you got to start, which is very important, because if you don't have momentum going for you, then it's working against you. It just has to work that way. So by understanding that, just understand that you can turn the tides. You just have to hit whatever's working against you with an opposite and equal reaction. As I become a physicist of sorts. Or does that make me a philosopher? What does that make me? Somebody let me know. But let me wrap this all up, okay? So here I go, making magic. All right. So with your to-do list, do not overwhelm yourself with a bunch of things that you're not gonna do, man. Go for some of them big dogs. Simplify it. Cut them down into pieces. And you just go from there. So, like, for example, if you're going to write the book, like I said earlier, and you want to write 500 words a day, but you got 15 minutes here, 15 minutes here, 15 minutes, then you try to get out 100 words per 15. Just things like that. You just try to work around it. It's like a puzzle piece of sorts. You just try to make everything fit into place. Nice little Tetris game. And your self-talk has to be on point. So that means that you be completely honest with yourself on both ends. About the good and about the bad, man. But especially about the good, because it's easier to gravitate towards what's bad, to speak on that. That's easy. That's the easy stuff. The hard thing to do is to really embody, not even embody, but to really come to the conclusion that you have been trying hard, and that you haven't been allowing yourself to enjoy the process because you are so fixated on how it's going to feel once you get there. Or you just keep telling yourself, well, it's going to be much better once this happens, and once this happens, and once that happens. But you don't know if that moment will ever come, which brings a lot of uncertainty, a lot of anxiety to people. But if you can find a way to love the process in everything, in this particular thing, or in everything you do, then when you reach the point of, you say, well, I don't think I'm going to get too far with this, you can take that same mindset on to something else, but, and I know that I'm a bit vague right here at this point, because it's kind of hard to explain, it's kind of hard to tell a person when they have reached that point. Hopefully you reach that point because you done got some success, but your heart is not in it anymore, but you still have that fight in you. So you take that fight in you and you translate to something else, a different avenue. Okay? So, for example, you may take a stand-up comedian or something like that. You may like Steve Harvey, and you say, well, I sure like doing that, but I mean, hey, there's Family Feud, and my own show is much better, as opposed to just traveling from state to state to state. The older you get, the probably probably the less you want to do that as far as work goes. Just living on the road, as opposed to, okay, look, the office down the street, or what have you, and then you travel every once in a while, or whatever comes to mind, whatever the scenario may be. So yeah, man, that's all I really have to say. I'm sorry if I'm stumbling a little bit, just because this is the third straight video that I'm making, so I'm trying not to mix points too much, because this is all about willpower. But just always try to expand on what was, and don't get too comfortable. When you get a big win, definitely make time to celebrate it, and then use the momentum that you created to go on and make a everlasting change, however you see fit. Okay? Alright, so thanks a lot. Like and subscribe. I appreciate you all as always. Let me that button.